There comes a time in every life when the noise of the world begins to fade. And in that quiet, we start to hear something softer, something truer. For years, we chased the bigger, the faster, the newer, believing that happiness waits at the top of some mountain built from possessions and paychecks. Yet when we finally pause long enough to breathe, we begin to sense that the mountain itself is hollow. The joy we were climbing toward has been sitting beside us all along, waiting for us to stop moving long enough to notice it. Living small and spending less is not a withdrawal from life. It is a gentle turning toward what is real. It is choosing peace over pressure, contentment over consumption, and simplicity over noise. The world often teaches us that success is measured by accumulation. Bigger houses, fuller closets, busier calendars. These become the trophies of modern achievement. But as the years pass, those same trophies start to feel heavy. The large home becomes hard to clean. The endless possessions demand care. And the once exciting clutter of life begins to crowd out the quiet moments we long for. We realize that more is not always better. Sometimes it is simply more to worry about, more to protect, more to lose. To live small is to rediscover freedom. It is the art of learning how little we actually need to live well. A smaller space means less to maintain, but it also invites us to choose carefully what truly belongs in our lives. Every item kept becomes a story preserved. Every object removed becomes a small release. The walls seem to breathe again. The air feels lighter. We walk through rooms filled not with possessions, but with peace. Spending less, too, is not a punishment. It is a quiet wisdom that grows from gratitude. When we spend less on what we don't need, we gain more of what can never be bought: time, presence, calm. We begin to see that the richest people are not those who have the most, but those who need the least. The joy of living small whispers that wealth is not measured in what fills our shelves, but in what fills our hearts. There is something profoundly beautiful about waking up in a modest home where everything has purpose and nothing feels excessive. The teacup waiting on the table, the soft chair by the window, the sunlight spilling gently across the floor. These small things, once overlooked, become treasures. They speak quietly of comfort, of rhythm, of belonging. When life slows down, we start to notice how deeply these ordinary moments nourish the soul. Many of us spent decades chasing the idea of more. More space, more money, more recognition. We filled our calendars and our cupboards, telling ourselves that the next purchase, the next promotion, the next upgrade would finally bring satisfaction. Yet each time the excitement faded, leaving a subtle emptiness that whispered for something simpler. It takes courage to listen to that whisper, to realize that joy might live in a smaller home, a smaller income, a smaller circle of things, and a larger circle of peace. Living small teaches us the beauty of boundaries. When you have less space, you naturally choose what truly matters. You keep the photo that makes you smile, the book that changed your thinking, the blanket that carries the scent of memory. Everything else slowly loses its claim on you. And as the unnecessary fades away, what remains is the essence of your life. A gentle harmony between what you own and who you are. When we spend less, we begin to notice the abundance already around us. The soft rustle of trees in the morning breeze. The warmth of a simple meal shared with someone dear. The laughter of grandchildren, the quiet comfort of solitude. None of these require money. They only require presence. To live small and spend less is to return to that presence, to finally stop chasing tomorrow and begin living today. There's a certain freedom in simplicity that no wealth can replace. The fewer things we depend on, the more resilient we become. We no longer fear loss, because we have already learned that joy does not live in possessions. It lives in gratitude. It lives in the steady rhythm of a peaceful day. It lives in the gentle acceptance that life, even when small, is already enough. As we grow older, we start to understand that our energy is precious. Every object we own, every dollar we spend, every commitment we keep demands a piece of that energy. The smaller and simpler we live, the more energy remains for what truly matters. Relationships, creativity, faith, kindness, reflection. When we live small, our lives begin to fit comfortably around the shape of our hearts. The joy of living small is not about deprivation. It is about intention. It is about choosing what to welcome and what to let go. It is about recognizing that peace grows best in uncluttered spaces, in homes where memories, not merchandise, take center stage. And when we spend less, we learn that generosity does not require wealth. It requires willingness, a shared meal, a warm word, a few hours of time. These are the gifts that ripple outward far beyond any price tag. Think of nature. A tiny seed contains a whole forest within it. A single drop of water reflects the entire sky. Life itself teaches us that small things can hold immense beauty. A small home can hold immense love. A modest life can hold immense joy. Living small is not stepping back from the world. It is stepping into it more completely, more attentively, more gratefully. Imagine waking up in the morning with no rush, no long list of unnecessary tasks, no heavy burden of debt or obligation. The house is quiet, sunlight warms the floor, and you breathe deeply, unhurried, content. You make a simple breakfast, maybe toast and tea, and you realize that this quiet routine, repeated daily, carries more peace than any grand achievement ever did. This is the heartbeat of a smaller life, slow, steady, full of quiet wonder. When we spend less, we also waste less. We tread lighter on the earth, leaving space for others and for the generations to come. Simplicity teaches respect for resources, for time, for life itself. It reminds us that everything we have is borrowed, and that gratitude is the truest form of wealth. In living small, we learn that ownership is temporary, but appreciation is eternal. There's a calmness that comes from knowing that you already have enough, that you don't need to keep striving for more, because more will never fill the space that only contentment can. The world tells us to build bigger dreams, but perhaps the wisest dream is a smaller one, to live kindly, quietly, and well, to find joy in the rhythm of daily life rather than the chase of endless desire. Sometimes downsizing is an act of healing. Letting go of possessions can feel like shedding old skin. Every box given away, every closet cleared becomes a release, a symbolic return to freedom. You begin to see that you never truly owned those things. In many ways, they owned you. With each layer of clutter removed, a new layer of peace unfolds. For many elders, moving into a smaller home brings a surprising sense of relief. The walls close in, but the heart opens wide. There is more time to rest, more space to breathe, more moments to simply be. A smaller home asks less of you and gives more in return, less upkeep, more tranquility, less distance, more connection. When you spend less, You begin to appreciate more deeply the small pleasures that money cannot buy. The taste of fresh fruit, the joy of tending a garden, the warmth of an afternoon nap, the simple delight of reading by the window while rain taps softly on the glass. These are the luxuries of a peaceful life, small, gentle, and endlessly renewing. We live in a world that celebrates excess, yet the soul has always longed for simplicity. It's the quiet spaces between possessions, the pauses between words, the gentle moments of stillness that give meaning to our days. Living small invites those moments to return. It opens the door to reflection, to understanding that happiness is not something we chase, but something we uncover like light beneath dust. And spending less becomes a spiritual practice. Each time we choose not to buy what we don't need, we affirm that we are already complete. Each time we repair instead of replace, we express respect for the life of things. Each time we give rather than acquire, we move closer to the essence of joy. Frugality, when done with gratitude, becomes a form of mindfulness, a daily reminder that true abundance begins with appreciation. Living small also deepens our relationships. Without the distractions of endless possessions and expenses, we begin to reconnect with others and with ourselves. Conversations grow longer, laughter rings louder, and time together feels more meaningful. We no longer measure success in money spent, but in moments shared. The people we love become the center of our lives again, and we realize they always were. There is wisdom in the quiet, in the spaces where there is nothing to prove, nothing to buy, nothing to defend. There, we find ourselves again, not the selves shaped by advertisements and comparisons, but the selves shaped by time, kindness, and truth. Simplicity clears the mirror so that we can finally see who we've always been. Perhaps that is the greatest joy of living small and spending less. It brings us back to ourselves. It strips away the noise and reveals the heartbeat of what truly matters. It shows us that happiness is not out there waiting to be found. It's here, in this moment, in this breath, in the gentle gratitude of enough. We start to see that life's greatest treasures are astonishingly simple. The sound of birds at dawn, the feel of warm sunlight on aging skin, the taste of soup on a cool evening, the hug of someone we love. None of these cost a thing, yet they carry more value than all the gold in the world. As we grow older, our priorities quietly rearrange themselves. The ambition that once fueled us softens into appreciation. The urge to acquire fades into the desire to savor. Living small becomes a graceful acceptance that happiness was never hidden in the things we sought. It was growing quietly in the spaces we ignored. When we learn to spend less, we begin to notice how wasteful our hurry once was. We slow down. We listen more. We stop trying to fill silence with sound or days with endless errands. In that slowing down, a different kind of richness unfolds, a richness of time, of thought, of connection. Life stops feeling like a race and starts feeling like a walk through a beautiful garden. To live small is to live closer to gratitude. To spend less is to walk lighter through the world. And to do both is to discover that joy was never about the size of your house, your bank account, or your plans. It was about the depth of your peace, the gentleness of your heart, and the calm satisfaction of knowing that what you have and who you are is already enough. So if you find yourself surrounded by too much noise, too many things, too many demands. Take a breath and begin to let go. One item, one habit, one worry at a time. Create space for quiet. Create room for joy. Remember that every empty corner you clear is an open door for peace to enter. Because happiness is not in what we add, but in what we remove. It's not in what we buy, but in what we cherish. The joy of living small and spending less is not about shrinking your life. It's about expanding your spirit. When you free yourself from the weight of wanting, you begin to rise, light and unburdened, into the life you were always meant to live. In the end, life's greatest luxury is not wealth. It is peace. It is the calm morning light that touches your face, the familiar creak of a floorboard, the laughter drifting through a smaller room that feels just right. It is the quiet knowing that you have enough, you are enough. And this moment, simple, humble, and small, is complete. For more videos, subscribe my channel.